Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Joliet for March the 1st, 2022. Mayor Bob Dekirk will be presiding. We will have invocation this evening by Reverend Charles Raines of the Fellowship Bible Church, 122 Moore Street, after which he will lead us in the pledge to the flag. Will we stand, please?
Lord, I thank you for your mercy upon this nation, that from the beginning in its forming and all through the years of its development, you've shown that mercy in guiding it in its laws and in the adjudication of those laws. I thank you for those that have made decisions that have made it possible for us to have equality under the law, safety, peace, prosperity. And I pray for these people here tonight, that they might not speak just for themselves, nor just for the people of this fine city, but that they might speak your wisdom for the sake of what it is that you would want to bless these people with. We lay it into your hands. Thank you for the trust that they exercise tonight. Lord, help them use it wisely. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Pastor. We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Dekirk.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin is absent this evening. She did call to let us know. Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hung.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is the introduction of new Police Chief William Evans.
Chief, you want to come on up and say a few words? Everybody, this is council members and members of the public. This is the newest addition, Chief of Police for City of Joliet, Chief Bill Evans, William Evans, Bill. And so we welcome him here today, and we're expecting great things from him. I'm excited that he's here, and so we just can't wait to get you on board. So,
Mayor, Colonel, rest of the city council members, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I can assure you that I will leave this place much better than I found it. I'm sure I put my heart and soul into it. And I'm really excited to be part of this organization, and even more excited about being part of the city of Joliet and the community as a whole. That's it. Thank you.
Welcome, Chief. Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. Tonight, the mayor is recommending appointments to 3 separate boards and commissions. We'll have 3 separate votes for these. First, the mayor is recommending John Dillon be reappointed to the Plan Commission. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, the mayor is recommending Kenneth Spiegel be appointed to Historic Preservation Commission as a non-voting member. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Finally, the mayor is recommending the following reappointments to the Tree Advisory Board: Karen Fonte, Wilhelmina Yeager, Rita Renwick, Betsy Satcher, Mary Shaneheller, and Ralph Schultz. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is council committee reports. First is Public Safety Committee report.
Okay, Public Safety met this afternoon at 5:30 here in council chambers. Present was Deputy Chief Batson, Deputy Chief Blackburn, Councilman Hugg, Councilman Clement, and myself. There were no one here to speak for public comments. We had one item on the agenda for the purchase of the Blue Team Next Gen. And what this is to offer frontline support for our police department. It's designed to simplify and assist. And if there's any issues, say, for example, they can track use of force, monitor officers if they're struggling with something at home, if their behavior is not accurate, if they're missing work, things like that. It's early intervention and supervisory support so that we can further assist our police department and help them if there's any other issues so that we can identify problems before they escalate. The money's in the budget and it will be more accurate as far as printing. There'll be no printing, it'll all be online and there's no in-person translating from the minutes. The reports are right there. And it is personnel, so because it's personnel, we asked Councilman Hogg asked the question if this stuff could be FOIA'd, and it cannot because it's personnel issues and it's personnel pertaining to that particular person. So what we decided to do was to implement it, and we voted unanimously for $13,400, which the money is budgeted for, and then every year after that, it's about $2,700 to maintain. And it was something that also was suggested by the AG's office when he was down here looking at everything. So, Councilman, did I miss anything? Anything to add to that?
All good.
So it'll be on the next council agenda for approval. That was it. Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
Public Service Committee met here at City Hall in the council chambers yesterday at 4:30 in the afternoon. On the committee in attendance was Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Morris, and myself. I'm going to keep my report short because there will be a short presentation from Tony Anzer from the Public Utilities Department concerning, it's related to the alternative water program that, of course, we're all very aware of. We had 10 contracts. Nothing necessarily jumped out. They were pretty routine. We did look at each and discuss each of the 10 contracts. I will point out that 2 of the contracts that we recommended for approval was a replacement of the roof, well, the roof envelope, but essentially the roof for Slammer Stadium as well as for the roof of By Park. Both of them, they've kind of limped along with those roofs for a number of years now, and there was just no more patching can be done, so it was time. Not a huge amount. One was $135,000. Let me see here. Yeah, 135. And one was 158. By Park is 158,000. Other than that, the other ones are like spoils contracts and engineering contracts for projects. And we looked at all 10 of them. We had 2 change order passments and final payments. Again, we looked at them and we reviewed them. Ordinances and resolutions. We had one that was housekeeping for one of the other items in our contracts because you have to accept a right of way to do a project, so that's what we looked at. The other one was the Wyland's Mayor Challenge for Water Conservation, a resolution in support of, and we recommended that to the full council as well. I'm sure Tony can briefly touch on that too. Now, Tony's gonna come up because what he's gonna tell us about is in regards to the $85 million bond that we discussed yesterday that we probably will be approving today, that's the improvements for the city system so that we can ultimately, be part of the Lake Michigan Compact allotments. And it's required that you reduce your water loss to below 10%, and that's the predominant driving force behind those expenditures. So he's gonna go over, the water system improvements plan, and I believe he's gonna be ably assisted by his boss, Allison Swisher, who arrived back in town today, right?
I did. I couldn't miss an opportunity to.
And if you guys
speak
could also
about-
touch on Wayland Mayor's.
Yes, to speak about water conservation. So that is the Wyland Mayor's Challenge. This will be our third year participating. So this is a program where we challenge our residents to take a water pledge to conserve water. And so each year we've seen more participation, but it's a great way to educate our residents about simple ways that they can conserve water, because ultimately using less water reduces water bills, which, as we are moving forward with our alternative water source program, is something that I think every resident is interested in doing. So that is the Wyland's Mayor's Challenge. It'll be taking place throughout the entire month of April. So we have multiple outreach activities that we have planned for that month to spread the word about water conservation. So now I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy Director of Engineering, Tony Answer. For those of you who haven't met him, he started with the city this past July. And so he has been very integral into moving forward our water main replacement program, which, as we all know, is important to our alternative water source program, as we're required to reduce our non-revenue water to less than 10% by 2030. So a large part of that non-revenue water reduction strategy is the replacement of our older water mains. So the goal overall of the program is to replace every water main that was constructed prior to 1970 by 2030. And in conjunction of doing that, we'll also be replacing lead service lines. So I'm going to turn it over to Tony, and I'll help him steer the website to show how we're going to be communicating all of this to the residents. So it's a significantly more work than has been previously done. We're going from 1% to 3.2%. So, construction is something that touches all of our residents as they see it, whether they live there or they're driving through it. So it's important that we have an enhanced communication strategy to get that word out. So turn it over to Tony.
Good evening, Council. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, so as Elson touched on, the water main project this year is going to be larger than we've ever experienced in the city, and it's going to be, it's kind of a fun number to think of, that we're going to be replacing over 20 miles of water main this year and for the next subsequent years through 2030. So on the display here, you can see the project locations. There's 13 different projects. So these are 13 different bid packages. I think there's 7 different contractors in town this year. I have to double check that number, but there's 13 different projects amongst a number of different contractors. And yeah, so there we go. So we see that the total contract value of the project is $36 million. So every contract has been bid out except for the Joliet Ottawa Street, but the total anticipated cost is $36 million is what the contract costs are. So the main elements here are, there's a slide for each here. So we'll get into those in detail. For the kind of the things that kicked everything off is that we just finished sending out pre-construction letters. It's basically a letter that's got 4 different pieces of paper in it, and it's kind of wild. When we did the export of how many adjacent addresses there were amongst these projects, it was over 2,400 addresses that we'll be working in front of this year. So it's quite a project. So included in that, so those went out in the mail yesterday, today. So a cover letter explaining the project, an exhibit showing the location of the work in front of their house or their project area. The EPA requires us to submit a form that has language about lead in water. It's a standard form that EPA requires. And then we have a trifold that's a what to expect during construction that we hand out that helps people understand what the process is and what to expect. All of our communications are being translated into Spanish as well, and we'll lead into, before getting into some of those nuts and bolts of the communication plan, I just wanted to touch on the lead service replacement. So the city we have separate contracts that are targeting just specific lead services throughout town. And we've been getting EPA funding for that, which is a forgivable loan. And also in this project, every time that we uncover a lead service along the construction routes for the water main replacement, our plan is to replace it into the home. So we will do that as long as the homeowners allow us to do it, which is a strong majority of the times. All right, the website, that's where we're funneling all of our communication through. So we've been building that out. We've made it like a smart website that's interactive through the city's GIS. And so Allison is going to cue that up for us here. Great. So, yeah, so through the website, you'll be able to, it's interactive. So say you want to look up your address. Allison's going to look up City Hall right now, just for an example. You can type in your address. It will zoom you to it, and then, so like the most adjacent project is just to the north. You can click on the project, it's a polygon showing the project limits, and that's gonna have the information for all the residents, and we're gonna update that on a weekly basis. So that will include information about planned water shutoffs, traffic control, road closures, and items of that sort. So, yeah, so that will be interactive, so residents can find information about their project pretty easily. Yeah, so on there we'll have construction schedules, the shut-offs, and the road closures. Cool. All right. Also in our communication plan is there's a number of city neighborhood groups, and so we have gotten in contact with the ones that are affected by this year's project, and then we're also behind the scenes working to make sure we have the latest information for the various neighborhood groups too, so that as we move forward, we have contacts to specific people in those groups. This year, we're affecting directly Bicentennial Bluffs, Kappa, City Center, Cunningham, and Forest Park. So again, we've been in contact with them. We're sending out the word. Also, local agencies, we're having weekly updates to waste management, the school districts you see there, PACE, IDOT, Will County Highway Department, and then even internally, we have to obviously make sure that we're clearly communicating the fire, police, public works, where we're having road closures and things of that sort. So also on the front end of our communication plan is in all those letters, we're advertising a open house that we're having, of which everyone here is invited to. It's gonna be at the East Side Treatment Plant on March 9th from 5 to 7. And the format of that is we found to be the best, that we'll have a number of city staff there with sets of drawings, and as residents come in, we just find out where they live, and then we can explain the projects that are germane to their project area. So it'll be kind of very personal and just one-on-one, that way we can answer questions. And then also they're, in our communication too, you see on the bottom of the screen there, we're encouraging people to sign up through the city's Everbridge network, so that, during water main projects, if there's unplanned items of water outages, of water main breaks or whatnot, then that's the way that people will be notified of that. Great. On social media, we'll be putting out regular posts on Facebook and Twitter. We're having pre-open house postings to drive people to the open house. And then basically 2-3 times a month, we're gonna have a similarly recurring post that's just going to drive people to the website, so that's where they'll get accustomed to where to find the latest and greatest updates for projects. Also is that door hangers will be handed out at a number of times throughout the project. So we already sent out letters. We're also going to, once a number of the projects are starting at different times throughout the year. So, I'm sure residents like myself, when this happens in my house, kind of forget that something's going on if it starts a month later. So door hangers will be placed on the doors of the front houses right before construction starts. So like when contractors are just about to start, a door hanger will go out to them, reminding them of the project. It will drive them to the website, give them a phone number to call. They'll also get a door hanger 48 hours in advance of any planned water main shutdowns, because during a project, there's actually a number of times where water has to be shut down, like when we're connecting new pipes, when we're connecting new water services, and then when we're disconnecting the old system. Those are 3 separate times that a lot of houses will be shut down for water work. Also, yeah, and then another one too, this is one that actually get more calls than you think, is like a lot of projects, some project will stop and say it's like July 15th, the water main's done, you backfilled it, but you can't plant grass then, because grass doesn't grow well. So we're having another door hanger that will go out when a contractor is what we call substantially complete. So that will let residents know, hey, we're done working for a while, but we'll be coming back at X date to complete the landscape restoration. And again, in the communication too, this is our last slide here, is we're just driving everybody to Everbridge too, so that during this process, we can collect their information for notification processes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is there a email link when they go to the construction portion link on the website? Is there a way to communicate with the staff if they have something that's not answered at the website?
Yes, there'll be phone numbers, email addresses of which they could contact us at.
And one other thing I'd point out, well, for those that may have looked at the map and had a chance to see it too, you're not gonna see a lot on the far west side in my district or Councilwoman Reardon's, much of her district, or in some of Councilman Morris's district, because my house turned 30 years old this year. Most houses were built 1990 beyond when you go on the other side, you know, from Essington on. And so I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, either one of you, by today's technology, most of these pipes, most of these systems have a 100-year lifespan if they're taken care of well, so we're not even halfway there yet. But just in case we have a couple of projects that happen, let's also add Troy School District 30C to the list and Plainfield's Consolidated School District 202, because they both have grade schools and junior highs within our corporate limits. And Plainfield actually has a high school in Joliet. Plainfield South is completely in Joliet, and 90% of its students are Joliet residents. You know, so we could affect them. Other than that, great presentation. This is the type of communication. Mayor, you know, when you and I joined in 2011, this type of communication didn't exist. This is great, you know, and so many departments that are going in this direction. It's a great job, folks.
Appreciate it.
One final thing, thank you, this is terrific. Jim, when we get the newsletter going again, this should be something that should be in, if you could coordinate with them, please.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, I have a question.
Yes,
Now, does any of this tearing up of the pipes, is any of it in any of the streets at all? Because I know there have been several water main breaks along Western Avenue, and that is a collector street, which means that's where all the ambulances go down all the time. And there's been several patches done, but they're still becoming potholes. So how soon would those streets be fixed? I'm not just talking about Western, I'm talking about streets that you might have to tear up during the project.
Right, yeah, so the kind of two-prong answer to that
Right.
one. So the first one is that the contractor is responsible for, as soon as they, because, you know, they'll progress usually a couple hundred feet a day, and a lot of it is in the roadway. So they're responsible for providing a drivable backfill material that's compacted so that the roads will be open right away. And then as the projects go, because of some of them are so long, that's gonna be something that we address in our weekly meetings with the contractors to make sure that they are paving behind themselves in a timely manner. So it'll be a little project dependent, but in general, it'll be pretty quickly after they're done with the water main work. But we'll also be policing to make sure that the temporary pavement is in good condition and stays drivable throughout the project.
I know it's pretty hard right now because of the weather and everything, so the cold patch works for a short time, then it just crumbles and it's a mess again. So, yeah, those are the calls that I get, so I just wanted to make sure.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
And as I said, you know, we did review all the items on the agenda, and unanimously, all the items were sent forward with a committee recommendation for approval. And I would just comment that you're gonna, again, so folks understand, you're gonna, one of the main goals we have, that's why we're kicking it up to 3.5%, is we have to reduce the amount of water loss. Common sense tells you most of the water loss is happening in the areas that have 50 to 100-year-old systems. That's gonna be in the older sections of town. So you're gonna see a lot of activity there.
thank you.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Moving on to consent agenda. Council Memo 116-22, award of contract for the purchase of replacement parts for the number 2 primary tanks at the East Side wastewater treatment plant to Evoqua Water Technologies and Virex Products in the amount of $37,858.18. Council Memo 117-22, award of contract for the 2022 Public Works Landscape Restoration Program to Allied Landscaping in the amount of $44,346. Council Memo 118-22, award of contract for the 2022 On-Call Lead Water Service Replacement Program not to exceed $350,000. Council Memo 119-22, award of contract for the 2022 On-Call Excavation and Underground Utility Repair Program not to exceed $250,000. Council Memo 120-22, award of contract for the Laraway Road Water Main Improvements Project to Steve Spees Construction in the amount of $1,744,678.30. Council Memo 121-22, award of contract for the River Bluff Water Main Improvements Project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $6,568,215.34. Council Memo 122-22, award of contract for the Reedwood Phase 2 Water Main Improvements Project to Len Cox and Sons Excavating in the amount of $3,725,711.04. Council Memo 123-22, award of contract for the Harwood Street, Cass Street to Sterling Avenue roadway improvement project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $397,497.49. Council Memo 124-22, award of contract for the Phase 2 professional engineering services for the Theodore Street widening improvements project, Project 1A Droughton Road, Westmere Parkway, to V3 Companies Limited in an amount not to exceed $383,511. Council Memo 125-22, award of contract for the Fairmont and Garvin Sanitary Improvement Project to Performance Construction and Engineering in the amount of $42,230. Council Memo 126-22, payment for Julie One Call System Services in the amount of $27,832.74. Council Memo 127-22, change order number 1 for the Garnsey Park Phase 2 Water Main Improvements Project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of -$138,700.36, and payment request number 6 and final in the amount of $207,330.44. And Council Memo 128-22, change order number 1 for the Florence Park Phase 1A Water Main Improvement Project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $51,525.35, and payment request number 5 and final in the amount of $182,612.29. It's recommended Council Memos 116-22 through 128-22 be approved. Is there a motion to approve all said consent agenda items?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under public hearings, Council Memo 130-22, public hearing for and request for approval of an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 1, Walsh Avenue, Douglas Street to Taylor Street. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 130-22, an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 1, Walsh Avenue, Douglas to Taylor Street?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is a public hearing for Council Memo 131-22. So public hearing for and request for approval of an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 2, Helen Avenue, Charity Avenue to Mills Road. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
See none, let the record show that the hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 131-22, an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 2, Helen Avenue, Charity Avenue to Mills Road?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 132-22 is a public hearing for and request for approval of an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 3, Dora Avenue, Woodruff Road to Garvin Street. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 132-22, an ordinance establishing the 2022 Special Service Area Number 3, Dora Avenue, Woodruff Road to Garvin Street?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances, Council Memo 134-22 is an ordinance establishing a recapture fee for connection to certain public improvements, water and sewer along portions of Schweitzer and Vetter roads. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Mayor,
Yes,
before Krista reads it, this next item, before anybody makes the table in it, and you have to quiet, I just want to comment quickly on it since I was involved with it.
okay.
Okay. You want to read it before, and when we won't table it, but you know, that way they know what we're talking about?
Okay. Council Memo 135-22, ordinances associated with Joliet Logistics Park subdivision. It's recommended this item be tabled to the March 15th council meeting.
This item, this is a hybrid development that the staff, and I was included in this too, as, you know, being involved with the Economic Development Committee. But it's a new development that was approved in 2008, okay? And then the economy went on life support for a decade, and it killed a lot of development. So I just wanted to point out, the only reason it's being tabled, there's nothing bad going on here. There's some finalization because they did agree, which was great, that once the closed loop is established, should they be allowed access to it, they will do it. Before that, because as a city, we're not, I think that this entire council has the appetite, we're not shutting down all development in that corridor, waiting for that closed loop, because we know there's parties that are trying to tie it up in court. Ultimately, it will come through. But they've been amicable that they will participate in the closed loop, but until that such a time as that happens, they would be allowed to go with the original plan on Route 53, which I think is fair, because it's not their fault that it's being tied up in court. So I just wanted to say these developers were very amicable. I think city manager Jim would say the same thing, right, Jim? They've been very, very, very
They've been very patient.
accommodating.
Yes.
So the only thing going on here is
Trying to-
it wasn't able to get through the legal department before tonight's meeting because one person happens to be out for whatever reason right now. So that's the only reason we're tabling it.
Right.
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to table Council Memo 135-22, and ordinances associated with Joliet Logistics Park subdivision to the March 15th council meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 135-22 is tabled to the March 15th council meeting. Council Memo 136-22, an ordinance approving a master indenture of trust securing waterworks and sewerage revenue senior lien obligations of the city of Joliet and one or more supplemental indentures and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $87 million. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Again, thank you, Tony and Allison, for that presentation. Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 138-22, a resolution regarding the Surface Transportation Program local funding for the Theodore Street Widening Improvements Project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 139-22, a resolution appropriating Rebuild Illinois bond funds for the Phase 2 professional engineering services for the Theodore Street Widening Improvements Project, Project 1A, Droughton Road to Westmere Parkway, in the amount of $383,511. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 140-22 is a resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funding for the Harwood Street, Cass Street to Sterling Avenue roadway improvement project 2021 in the amount of $388,997.49. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned, seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 141-22, a resolution authorizing the sale of a police dog to Officer Caitlin Kozlowski. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 142-22, resolution authorizing a grant of easement on the 12D water treatment site located at 3090 Hennepin Drive. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 143-22, a resolution approving and authorizing the acquisition of real property from Natural Gas Pipeline Company of America. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 144-22, a resolution approving and authorizing the conveyance of real property acquired from Natural Gas Pipeline Company of America to the Illinois Department of Transportation. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Yes, I'd like to briefly take a second here to thank Deputy Chief Brown. He stepped up when we were out of chief, and he was dual-hatted. He not only performed the duties of chief, but also his other jobs as deputy chief. He just didn't keep things as is. He moved the department forward. He continued to engage. So I think we all owe him a debt of gratitude for the tremendous job that he did. And I certainly personally appreciate not only the hard work he did, but his friendship during this time. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
I agree.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
Joe, Caesar, Larry?
Just real quick, it dawned on me yesterday when I went through the pre-council agenda or the council agenda. And I'm hoping that, in cases like Officer Kozlowski that takes their partner when he retires, Ness being the canine, that is a nominal, when he say purchase, I hope it's nominal, I don't know what the amount is. Maybe we can I'm sorry?
$1.
$1. Maybe we should just put together an ordinance that automatically it goes to the officer upon retirement unless they refuse. It just makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's their partner. I can't see that dog going anywhere else. It'd be like whipping a family member. It's just something we can consider. Just do an ordinance, and you don't have to go through this, even though we don't do it that often. It just automatically should go to them, not even for $1, because, I mean, they have a bond. That's my suggestion, that's all.
Terry? Jim?
You know me, I love dogs, so it's all about that, because no one else could handle a police dog. Anyway, I would just like to, again, thank Interim Chief Brown. He did a fabulous job, on the ball, handled everything perfectly, so I can't say enough good things about him. And on a side note, if you've noticed, I'm wearing yellow, and this is the bluest thing I could find today to wear in support of what's going on in the Ukraine. This is just ridiculous. 80 years ago, World War II started, and it seems like we have another dictator in place. So I support all the people, and this is all I can do right now is say my prayers and support. I hope other people feel the same way.
Sherry? Councilman Coleman, to piggyback on that, one thing that we did, and it was in the budget, it was brought up about raising the gas tax. With what's happening in Europe now, the reports seem pretty clear that fuel prices are going to go up significantly. I know our gas tax probably pales in comparison to what's going to happen. But I spoke about this offline, Sabrina, with you and with you, Jim. The bond that we have out, is it tied directly to that rate, tax rate, or is it tied to the city fund overall?
No, it's tied directly to the gas rate, is my understanding. But I will double check with Mr. Gadati in finance to make sure. But the bond was based on the revenue that's tied that we raised from the gas tax.
Well, I mean, one thing to consider is whether if we change the rate or amend the rate, whether the bank is gonna call the loan in or not. Having said that, I have the numbers from last year. I'm preparing my speech for State of the City, and we had an outstanding year financially. So there was a time where we would consider rolling a tax back. I think for both reasons, now would be the time to do it. If you could look into that, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely, Mayor.
The other item I have is regard to the bridges here in Joliet. Last week, Councilwoman Coleman, you took the initiative to call some of our state reps. I have been in touch with them and with IDOT. Between the two of us, I had contact with a senior member of IDOT on Saturday who gave me just an update on what's happening with the bridges. I asked him if he could put it in writing, so I won't paraphrase what I was told, but said I can give accurate information to this council and to our public. So if you bear with me, this is the email I got Saturday, an update on what's going on. Per our discussion, I mentioned that the Cass Street Bridge is in need for a structural repair for which the construction contract has already been let and awarded. The structural steel parts have already been fabricated and are ready for installation. Unfortunately, due to the delays of the Jefferson Street Bridge repairs, the department had to delay the Cass Street Bridge repairs. These repairs are essential, can only be done while the bridge is in a lowered position, and will require the closure of 2 lanes of traffic for multiple weeks, leaving only 1 lane in the westbound direction. This is on Cass Street. These repairs are recommended by the Bureau of Bridges and Structures to avoid lowering the truck load limit even lower than the current posting. If we do not perform these repairs, we would need to lower the Cass Street Bridge load limit, which could significantly limit the types of vehicles that are allowed to use the bridge. We do not recommend delaying this repair any more than needed. This repair will take around 30 days and will be done concurrently with the Jackson Street Bridge project. Once we complete the ongoing Jackson Street Bridge project, hopefully within 60 days, we will reopen Jackson and we will fully close the Cass Street Bridge so that we can begin the remote operation project work on the Cass Street Bridge. This work is mainly done with the bridge in the open position, which will require closure of the bridge to vehicle traffic. So this work that's being done on Jackson Street had been done on Jefferson Street. Cass is next. The other 2 bridges will follow. This is, again, I think disappointing news, but I do thank IDOT for at least being forthcoming with us. Overall, I think, we all say up here, they aren't our bridges, there's only so much we could do, but I am looking forward to working with our state reps and members of this council to get some type of relief in what's happened downtown. As I said on Saturday on the telephone, it's been, I think, over 3 years since we had all our bridges fully operational. So, we don't think this is acceptable. Any downtown investor tells us, especially Harrah's, who is the biggest tax revenue generator in Joliet, tells us what the bridge closures do to their business. It's something we need as a council to continue to move forward. Councilwoman Coleman, thank you for your efforts in helping with this.
And I have 2 new contacts now at the governor's office. I didn't stop at the state reps. I went to the top, so
Very good.
I do have contacts with them now, and if they have any other questions that we need, we are to contact them, and I do have the information if anyone would like it.
Very good. Thank you.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening? Seeing none, next is mayor and council comments.
Joe?
I just publicly like to thank Deputy Chief Rob Brown. He did a great job, and I heard it from a lot of police officers and people in the community, and I just want to publicly thank you. And I want to tell Bill Evans, hey, welcome aboard, and you're going to do a great job as well. So,
Caesar?
Just had a request to share this with the public. So just to put this out there, the Will County Health Department will be hosting a vaccination clinic this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Noel Park. And the vaccines are available for all people ages 5 and up. They have all 3 if you're getting your first, your second dose, or the booster. So again, just for our Spanish-speaking audience out there, el Departamento de Salud del Condado de Will estaría haciendo una clínica de vacunas este sábado de 9 a 3. Están disponibles para cualquier persona mayor de 5 años. So again, it's Saturday at Noel Park. And again, thank you to Interim Chief Brown and to our new Chief Evans. So congratulations.
Larry?
Yeah, Jim, so could we have somebody look into crafting an ordinance that just, like I had mentioned earlier with the canines?
absolutely.
To send to Terry's you know, Councilman Morris's, committee, the legislative committee.
Okay.
Generally speaking, people that know me know this is true. I'm a hard man sometimes. I am not easily impressed in life, not at all. It takes a lot to impress me, not that you have to. Chief Brown, you impressed the hell out of me for your tenure as chief. You really did, and I thank you. I thank you. I respect you as a chief, as a policeman, as a man, as a human being. You were everything. And Chief Evans, welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
You got some big shoes, you can tell how I feel, and I'm sure you're going to fill them fine. But you got a hell of a guy to lean on, and the rest of the deputy chief staff, as well as the entire department. You do know this is the best department in the state of Illinois, and possibly in the nation. You know that, right?
I've always thought that, sir.
Earlier, you said you're gonna leave it better than you came, and I'm thinking, how do you go from near perfect? Yes. All right. So welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. And I would say our thoughts and prayers to our fellow human beings here in Ukraine. It's a horrible situation. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but we all know what's going on there. But let's also remember this can happen subtly or can happen like this dictator is trying to do it. So my thoughts and prayers to the folks in Ukraine, and my prayers and thanks to the patriots in Canada for what they went through. Thank you.
Terry?
Just to thank Chief Brown for his service as interim chief and for working, with me. And looking forward to continue working with you, Chief Brown, as well as I told you earlier, Chief Evans, welcome. Looking forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
Like everybody, Deputy Chief Brown, thank you for what you did. Welcome, Chief Evans. And I'd like to congratulate Joliet Catholic High School's wrestling team, who Saturday won the state for the first time, the 2A state division. They had, the week before, they had 2 state champs in the individual, Galen Sims at 113, Dillard Johnson at 285, and then they had 3 other placers. The 145 was a runner-up, Mason Alessio. 138, 5th place was Owen O'Connor, and 195, 4th place, Owen Gerdes. They also, this year, the state of Illinois started a female wrestling team, and they had a freshman, Grace Laird, who qualified to go downstate. So the team and players, congratulations, and proved well for Joliet.
Jim?
Jim, we talked earlier, were you able to get any information about the restaurant on Black Road, that what used to be Barolo's?
No, I have not. I have our folks looking into it, but I have not heard anything.
Just for update, if you haven't been down Black Road, there was this restaurant was supposed to open, it's a seafood Mexican restaurant. They did advertising for almost a year, and now there's nothing there. All the signs are down, it's black, it's like there's nobody working there, and so we had talked earlier about to find out what had
Trying to
happened.
find out what's going on. I'm curious as well.
So, now would Rodney know? Now, he's taken over for Derek, correct, or is that not the case?
No, he has taken over for Derek. He works part-time for the city. He works in the morning.
Okay.
But we're working on some folks to go knock on the door and find out what's going on. So
Okay, I
call
just want to know who to call, so I don't have to
Right.
call you about all these little things.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he will be able to find out as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman.
I'll just say, this happens to the council a lot, but I think it's a sign of just how sincere we are in thanking you, Deputy Chief Brown, for what excellent work you did, and welcome to Chief Evans, so.
Well, I'll agree with that. Deputy Chief, thank you. You're not going anywhere, but thank you for what you stepping up in your service. Chief Evans, great, best of luck. I'm looking forward to working with you moving forward. Councilman Mudrin, I agree with you. Congratulations to Joliet Catholic's wrestling program and all the individuals. Jim, if we could invite them, or Krista, to a future meeting to honor their wrestling team here at a city council meeting.
Especially the young lady that won.
Right? Well, the entire team.
I know, but they're all guys, but I'm talking about what she did. It was the first.
Chamber of Commerce had a celebration of success last week. I was there with Councilwoman Quillman and Councilman Mudrin. Thank you to the Chamber. They honored our fire department and Chief Blasky and Deputy Chief Carey for the great work they did last year in getting the vaccination booster shots out. So thank you, Chamber, for honoring our fire department. Again, thank you, Chief Carey and Chief Blasky, for the work you did. We also had a water celebration at Heroes and Legends last week for the 5 communities that are joining Joliet in the Water Commission. That's Manuka, Shorewood, Shanahan, Romeoville, and Crest Hill. Thank you to all their mayors and staff members that were there and for partnering up with us. It's very exciting. There will be a fundraiser this Saturday at Heroes and Legends, put on or being sponsored by Local 440, which is the Joliet Public Works Union, with Union President Dave Gornick. It's gonna be at Heroes and Legends for St. Baldrick's, raising money, a fundraiser for children's cancer. I encourage people to come out and support, that fundraiser, and thank you to Local 440 for stepping up. And then finally, next Wednesday, March 9th, at Harris Casino is the State of the City address. I'm in the process of putting it together. A little teaser, I have the numbers from Jim Gadati. They are the best that I've seen, not only since I've been mayor, but since I've been on the city council. So I'm excited to share the information of everything that's going on in Joliet, and certainly the state of our finances. A lot of good news to share. So that's all I have. Krista, I think we need closed session tonight?
Correct. Yep. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So, second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye?
Councilman Morris. Motion carried.